Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
From Cafeteria Film Studios in Little Havana, Fresh presents Que Hola, where we talk to various movers and hustlers who are popping off and succeeding in the 305 and at the same time influencing the culture. I'm your boy D Fig. Holla at your boy when you see me in the street. You already know what it is. It's your boy D Fig, Que Hola Podcast, Que Hola Tiburón. In this week's episode, I had the pleasure of interviewing and breaking it down with David Arbetter from Arbetter Hot Dogs. They just recently reached their 60th year in business. Shout out Arbetters, yo. Bird Road, Westchester, that's what's good. In this episode, we sat down with David. Basically, I was just picking his brain, trying to figure out how do you get a business, any business, to last that long, let alone a restaurant business? You know how finicky restaurants are out here. It was a really dope, insightful talk, you know? He gave us a lot of gems. So anybody who's thinking about opening a restaurant, anybody who's a creative, a chef, anything along those lines, it's chock full of gems as to longevity and success in business. Shout out Burger Beast for putting me in contact with David. Thank you so much. And this episode is just dope. Let's listen. Check it out. Listo. So we're in another episode of Que Hola. Thank you so much to our guest, Mr. David Arbetter, owner proprietor of Arbetter Hot Dogs. Been around since I could remember, before even I was even alive. You know what I'm saying?
Been around for a while.
Yeah, man. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks, Darwin. I appreciate it, man. Love to be on here. Thanks for inviting me. And it's just great to be part of Miami. You know, I'm a Miami guy. I love Miami.
Yeah.
And it's anything I can do I've always been that way ever since I was a little kid. Even when I was like 10 years old, if someone asked me directions or something, you know, instead of being rude, I would always go out of my way to be nice to them. And I never forgot that because I just love it down here. Yeah. It's just part of who I am. So.
And so growing up, did you grow up in South Florida?
Yeah.
Okay,
born and raised down here. And
okay.
Yeah, just, always been here. And or always been around here,
So did you grow up in Westchester?
Yeah. I grew up I grew up on Westwood Lake first, and then we moved over to Lake Catalina, which is pretty nice, and that's right off Miller Road. So I'm sort of a Miller Road rat.
Oh, that's crazy,
56th
man.
Street.
That's what's up.
Technically not Westchester, but it is Westchester because in the old days, Westchester was only Westchester Shopping Center. Mm-hmm. That's all.
I remember that, actually.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember those.
Right off Coral Way.
Yeah, right on.
So, anyone off... I'm an 87th Road rat. That's what I am.
Yeah, that's Westchester.
That's Westchester,
That's
right?
Westchester. I would consider Westchester all the way to the Expressway.
Pretty much all the way to Expressway and all the way to to me, it's all the way to at least Miller, positively. And then, maybe going towards 8th Street. And then, either way, I don't know, 10 blocks at least. That's
all right. When you cross 8th Street, do you still consider that little area of Westchester?
Not really. To me, not really. Not really. Not me.
Yeah. You're a purist.
I'm a purist. I'm a purist because, again, there was no such thing as quote unquote Westchester. Now, Arbetter's where Arbetter's is actually, that is technically Westchester. If you cross the street, that's Olympia Heights.
What do you mean? If you cross the street to where the Pollo Tropical's at?
Yeah, okay. If you're at Arbetter's and then you cross over to Pollo Tropical, then you're in
plaza.
Yeah, the plaza there. You're actually in Navarro and everything. Yeah. You're actually in Olympia Heights, technically.
I didn't know that. Yeah. So then Mojo Donuts is actually in Olympia Heights.
Jimmy, I'm sorry, but yeah.
Oh,
it is,
man.
Yeah, it is.
Damn, I didn't know that.
It is.
That's crazy.
And me and Burger Beast will joke about that a lot because, he knows that. Because if you look at your phone, like you could, and you pull it up, it'll say where you are. And it'll say, if you're across the street, it'll say Olympia Heights. But again, that's where I'm a purist. And to me, really on that 87th corridor, it goes, Westchester to me goes all the way to Miller. That goes all the way to Miller and then all the way to the highway. Okay. And then, probably all the way to Miller Park. At least, which is 97th or right up 94th or something. And then all the way, all the way to 8th Street. To me, but again, I'm
but a lot of people consider it go all the way from one expressway to the other expressway.
Yeah, all the way to Flagler too.
Yeah, and all the way to Flagler sometimes, because a lot of those parts, by 8th Street, because the 8th Street canal separates a lot.
Yeah.
It's a point of demarcation.
Yeah, to me, when they built Fontainebleau, I think they built Fontainebleau in I don't know, like 73 or something like that.
Okay.
And Fontainebleau, to me, isn't really part of Westchester. It's more part of that Flagler corridor.
Okay.
You know, like, you know, maybe even a Flagami. Not so much Flagami, but, you know, a Flagler corridor.
Flagami's is like a super, like, what?
It's like 2 blocks. Not a lot of people know
exactly.
Flagami.
He's like, what is Flagami?
You got to be hardcore Miami to know Flagami.
That's only for Kill podcast people, you know what I'm saying? That know about the Flagamis and shit like that. But, so somebody was telling me, like, I was at a video release party the other day.
Right.
And shout out to Madam Key. Okay.
She
at her video release party, they filmed it in Westchester. She's from Westchester.
Right. Okay.
There's a lot of talent coming out of Westchester.
Oh yeah, big time.
You know, they were telling me where they shot an opening scene. It was notoriously known for shooting rabbits. Somebody was telling me that back in the day, you could actually shoot rabbits and kill them and eat them. Like that's how rural Westchester was. That there was like game and things along that nature out there. Was it really like that?
Well. I don't think I'm that old. I mean, I know this. I've seen pictures of Bird Road back in, I'm going to say the 40s, that looked like you were in the middle of the Everglades. I mean, there wasn't almost even a road. It was like a dirt road. I saw Bird Road. I've seen a picture of Bird Road as a dirt road. Now, I don't remember that. And I'm going to say that was probably in the 30s or 40s.
Okay.
You know? My family's been down here since about 38.
Okay.
So that we've been here a while.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, they lived, like my mom lived over, I think it's right across from Jackson. And it's a little area, I think it's called like, I don't know if it's Holiday Park or something. I can't remember exactly. But, you know, it's just all wooden houses.
Yeah.
But people, you know, out west, they didn't go out west. I mean, where Westwood Lake is, that was crazy land. You know, no one went out there until the Mackle brothers came out and built all those houses out there.
I remember when Miami was like that. Like you wouldn't go, particularly for me, it was like if you went past 137th Avenue, it was like you were in the Everglades, like legit.
Oh yeah,
like no way, shape, or form. What are you even doing out there? Like, are you throwing out bodies or what's up with you?
Right. You know, you felt like one of the you know the cocaine cowboys out there dumping a body or something.
Yes.
But really, you know, when I was growing up, it ended sort of at Concord Shopping Center, and that was like 107th to 117th, and after 117th, it was called Village Green.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Yeah, that is now. It's where the hospital is now, right by the turnpike.
Yeah.
And I remember just going out there as a kid, and it was just and that's all houses now.
Yeah.
And all businesses.
Everything's built out almost to Chrome, basically.
To Chrome, Chrome was like you might as well have gone to like
Naples
to go to Chrome. Yeah. I mean, no one drove out to Chrome. Yeah. I mean, you know. So yeah, but that's what's great about Miami. You know, there was an old movie in the 80s called Band of the Hand. I don't know if you heard of it, but it was they got these guys who were basically juvenile delinquents.
Okay.
And this Native American who was a Green Beret formerly, you know, wanted to do a program to get these guys out of the inner city.
Yeah.
So they took them out to the Everglades.
Okay.
And this guy was like an expert, you know, he was like a Miccosukee, part, you know, white dude.
Yeah.
And then he would take them and they, you know, would have to work together against the gators and all the crazy stuff out there. Then they, you know, became like a force of one, you know, all these kids, and that would sort of develop them, their character to get them out of the hood.
That one was called Band of the Hand?
Yeah, you got to watch it. It's
definitely.
A great movie from the 80s.
For sure. I'm pulling that up on like wherever I could find it. I'm going to watch that.
Please tell me if you like it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely let you know. So what high school did you go to then?
Well, I went to Southwest and...
so Purple Pride.
Yeah. That's exactly. Where'd you go?
I went to South Ridge. My sister went to Southwest.
Really?
Yeah. I went to Tropical Elementary. Like,
you went to Tropical?
Yeah, I started off in Westchester, and then Hurricane Andrew came through.
Yeah.
Knocked everything down south.
I remember.
And I remember where we were staying at, we got price gouged from 1 month to the other, like ridiculous.
Really?
It was an insane. When I was probably like 8, 9 years old, and I remember it being like my mom's rent went up from like, I don't know, the equivalent of like $1,000 to like $3,000 or $4,000 from 1 month to the other.
Could you imagine someone doing that? Like,
well, they did it to me.
They did it to you. That's legit. What I'm saying. It just blows my mind that someone, we're all in the same community.
Yeah, apparently not always. You know what I'm saying? That happened after Andrew, and then that pushed me down south.
Right.
Then I went from like there. I went to like Centennial, South Ridge, et cetera, et cetera.
Right, you did that.
But I learned the thing is that I had a lot of roots in Westchester.
Right.
And I still have roots to Westchester to this day.
Yeah.
So like I was traversing back and forth between down south and Westchester. So I had like a Westchester type of feel vibe, but also was like the Ridge Rat type thing, which is down south is wow.
There's different pockets of Miami. If you're brought up in Westchester, if you're brought up, in South Ridge,
yeah,
it's such life is different for you.
Yes.
People don't understand that. I mean, it's like being from Brooklyn or being from the Bronx.
Hell
it's two totally different things.
Exactly, that's a good analogy.
But I can't imagine for us. I remember. We were, my parents had the place in when Hurricane Andrew hit, and they gave away free food, to people who needed it. I mean, they didn't give free food to every single person, but if someone came up and said, "Hey, look, I don't have any money," and that's the kind of community, and there was a lot of that good stuff going on too.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of the good stuff that I also was a part of. Thank God. Like, I mean, Andrew was just bad all around. So like people were genuinely being nice to each other at that time, and like opening up their homes and things like that. Yeah. But apparently my landlord at that time tried to,
greed holds no boundaries.
Exactly. So then So when you graduated from high school, did you stay down south or?
No. I went to University of New Hampshire.
Okay.
And, then, right after that we moved to Cocoa for a while. And we opened an Arbiter's up there, and I opened an Italian restaurant in 1987 with my brother Ronnie, and Southwest guy too, and we just lived up there. I mean, it was Brevard County we moved to, and that was very reminiscent of what Miami was, probably in the 50s even, So it was sort of boring to be honest with you, but it was pretty cool because you could just we just like doing stuff. We like being outdoors, so we would golf, go to the beach, go to. They used to have like these bikini contests and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So just like
drag
stuff,
races and things like that.
Yeah, drag races, those all kind of stuff like that. And we had a few Arbiters up there, and they did pretty well, when we were running them. And that's pretty much it, though. But we're Florida guys. We love Florida.
Yeah.
So, anywhere in Florida.
So so the restaurant touring runs through your family?
Well, we not only the hot dog place, but we had. My relatives, my uncle owned Paoletti's restaurant in Coral Gables. It was actually very famous through the 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s. And then they moved up to Delray Beach, and now they're in Highlands. It's one of the top Italian restaurants in the whole U.S. Okay. So it's the restaurant, my restaurant blood runs deep.
Yeah, exactly.
As a matter of fact, it ran so deep, I got into other things after. I just was like, I got to see if I could do something else. Yeah. Because all we did was restaurants. Yeah. So we really know. And then also, my uncles owned Kentucky Fried Chickens. They owned the whole state of Florida as far as they had the franchise ability. Yeah. And they owned the whole Puerto Rico, the whole island of Puerto Rico. Wow. For the, so we're, big time into restaurants.
Yeah. So it runs in the family, the restaurant.
Huge.
Well, when did you initially start, stepping into it? Was it something that, you were put into it as a child?
Yeah. I mean, when I was little, when my parents, me and my sister would be in the back seat, and my brother was a little older, so most of the time it was me and her. We would be back there, and my parents, and back then, kids were to be seen and not heard. Yeah. It was a little different than nowadays. Yeah. So my parents would literally talk about restaurants 24/7. That's all they talked about. Yeah. I mean, that's all they talked about. They talked about who'd you see in our restaurant, what'd they say. They talked about that location, this location, and I would just sit in the back seat and absorb it like a sponge. And, that's probably why I have an ability for it now. It's because I would just sit there and just absorb everything that they said. And that's what they talked about. Yeah. I'm not even kidding. I don't even remember them talking about anything else.
Yeah. Outside of restauranting.
That's it, yeah.
What was your first position in any particular restaurant?
I was a dishwasher. I started when I was 13 on a Chinese restaurant at Miller Road.
What?
Yeah.
Yo, I did the same thing.
Did you really?
I was 13.
I love that.
Doing cleaning dishes at I'm not going to say the establishment because it's still open. But yeah, I was getting paid cash money for a 13-year-old. That was a great thing.
Yeah, it's great, man. And it teaches you a work ethic.
Yes.
And then I went to 14, 15, 16 Anthony's Pizza. You might remember that. That was on. It was on Bird Road. It was exactly where that fish. I'm trying to think of that fish restaurant there. That's there now. But it was like Bird and I'm going to say probably 84th. Yeah, somewhere in there. Not too far from our Betters. But and then I would work at Arbiters at times, but I was really independent, so I wasn't always working at Arbiters. I tried to do other things,
Okay.
And then and then we just from there I just worked at Houlihan's.
All right.
Over on Sunset.
Yeah.
And West 17th. And
yeah. The Little Hoolies.
Yeah. No, not Little Hoolies. It was actually Houlihan's.
Houlihan's. Okay.
Before Little Hoolies.
Before Little Hoolies, it was Houlihan's.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So when did you guys decide moving the Arbiters up north and establishing it in Westchester? What was that like? Like, what was that move?
Yeah, I guess, back to the Westchester thing. I guess Westchester, when I was growing up, there wasn't a so-called Westchester. It was, Southwest Miami.
Yeah.
That's what we call
Just
it.
boonies.
But that whole Westchester vibe,
Yeah.
what went all the way to where I guess the borders are now. It went all the way to Westwood Lake. That was sort of a Westchester thing because we were always at the Westchester Little Mall. There was Lionel Play World there.
Yeah.
There was a movie theater there. There was a Burger King over there. There was a Mr. Donuts, and then and there was the the Pancake House, International House of Pancakes, and then there was a Kmart over there. So we were always over there, and that. So I guess that Westchester vibe clicked all the way to Westwood Lake, and so we were on A Street with the restaurant, and what happened is my dad had a handshake agreement with the owner of the Dairy Queen, which owned, there was Dairy Queen and then Arbiters right next door. The guy owned the whole plaza. It was small, but he owned it, and they were great friends, and the guy was like, hey, listen, as long as I'm here, you don't really need it.
Yeah.
It's just a handshake. So this guy, Hal Bailey, very nice guy, and he sold this Dairy Queen and the whole property. And this guy, Ernie, I can't remember his name, he took over, and he saw how busy my dad was back then in the 60s, and he unceremoniously just dumped him. He said, look, like what happened in your family and Andrew, he sort of did it, but he said, you got 1 month, you got to get out of here. And my dad's like, well, we had an agreement, and you took over that agreement. And the guy's like, no.
Yeah.
So my parents had to find a place. They found a place on Bird Road. We're very lucky to get that. And they bought the place, thank God, because we probably wouldn't have survived. And that place, this guy who owned the Dairy Queen, Ernie, ended up opening Ernie's Hot Dogs.
Okay.
And it lasted like 2 months.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Yeah.
It went out of business. So.
Oh, and that's how the move from like where you were at to the Bird Road location is now.
Exactly. And it's funny how sometimes in life you think the world's going to, because I remember my parents were so worried, and they were like, how are we going to do this? We don't have any money. They didn't have really money saved up, even though they had a decent business.
Yeah, but it was like covering their living expenses and things like that. But
it was. It was. And, honestly, my dad at the time had a little bit of a gambling thing.
Okay.
So it was, sort of tough.
Yeah.
And, but he was a great guy, don't get me wrong. But he, but so there was that pressure, and every family really goes through it. And it's something in life where it does make you stronger. But sure enough, the guy who thought he was going to be the big winner and screw us over, he ended up failing, and we were a success, because we were just trying to do the right thing. I mean, we were just trying to make a living.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the place is historic. It's been there for what, 50 plus years now?
We've been in business 60 straight years.
Okay.
And that place has been there since 1971. We bought that in 71. We were in business as a corporation the whole time from 59 until we took over that place. But we had just moved, a few times in between there,
That's cool, man. That is an awesome little story how you guys were actually able to set up right there on Bird. You know that you guys, the Art Better location, Frankie's Pizza, and the farm store right next to you guys.
Right, yeah.
Which actually, my girl's cousin is the owner of the farm store there.
Really?
Robert, yeah.
They're super nice. He had a corporate gig, didn't he, before that?
Yeah, he did have a corporate gig before that.
Yeah. And he was happy to get out of the corporate gig.
Yeah, and go, proprietary himself, like his own little store. Those locations have been there for what? Those are like the anchors of Bird Road, right?
Forever. I mean, ever since I can remember, that farm store was there. Ever since I could remember, before I was born, Frankie's was there.
Yeah.
Roxanne and Renee, they're very nice people.
Yeah.
And they do a great job, keeping that place just like their dad wanted it. Running very well, very clean. I'm proud to be friends with those guys. The place is run well. And not every old place is run well.
What do you think is the secret sauce to that longevity? That like certain things have come and gone, but like those places are still continuously getting new customers, getting new faces. What do you think is that? Where do you think it comes from?
Probably the first thing, you have to be lucky enough to have purchase your land.
Okay.
And I reckon it's hard. It seems like it's harder nowadays, and it probably is.
Yeah, I mean, land prices now are like through the roof.
But don't forget, back then, land prices, like our place might be worth a few million now for land.
Yeah. And
maybe at the time it was worth 40,000, but don't forget, everything you were only making 10,000 a year back in probably 71.
Yeah.
So everything goes up, but if you can be lucky enough, and I say that because it's not always easy, like you said, to buy your own place, but if you could be lucky enough to buy your own place and land values go up, that's very helpful. Although there's a lot of places that have owned their own land that just don't make it.
Yeah.
You gotta, it's a constant thing. I mean, I always say this, in the restaurant business, you have to be willing to work, roughly 100 hours a week. Mm-hmm. And I've said this before. It's people look at you like, oh, come on, man. You don't work 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm in there slaving every second 100, but I tell you, I do work 100 hours at least because I'm constantly working. Everything I do basically has to do with that restaurant. So, even this, in essence, even coming out and doing an interview is work for that restaurant.
Yeah.
So the restaurant is my baby, and I give it whatever my baby wants.
Okay. So that's how you approach it. That's what you think. Okay.
Yeah. Someone told me a long time. I've been married 28, going 29 years.
Okay.
And someone told me, if you want to stay married, you have yourself, you have your wife, and you have the marriage, and you've got to treat the marriage as a third party.
Okay.
And you've got to treat the marriage well. And that's how it is for a restaurant. I look at the restaurant like I give the restaurant whatever it needs by far over like myself, even my wife, because the restaurant supplies everything for me, my sister, her family, and my family. That's a lot.
Yeah. That's definitely, but it's something that has to be well taken care of. You can't like gloss over the details.
No.
Because that's what's going to set you aside. That's what gets you 60 plus years is the fact that you're still paying attention to the details.
The devil's in the details. My mom always said, the little leaks sink the ship. So
okay.
I'm always constantly looking for the little tiny leaks where it might be, the corner of a certain area. There's crumbs down there or something.
Yeah.
And I'll try to get down there and scrub that corner.
Yeah.
Or I'll try to, every single inch of that place matters.
It should be like that. If it's you're running a business and you're working in the restaurant business. Restaurant business is tough.
It's brutal. And, like for me, I'll give you an example. I took all of our equipment that had been there for a long time. And by the way, you can't even get this equipment made anymore. I've bought a lot of new equipment, and it doesn't compare to this older equipment because it's like 18 gauge steel, stainless steel, thick steel with a high chromium and nickel content, which means there's going to be no rust ever on it.
Yeah.
I bought new equipment, like I bought a new fridge, really nice fridge, it was $6,000.
Yeah.
And it's already starting to pit a little bit of rust. And that's because the nickel and chromium content isn't high in the stainless steel. And it's a thicker stainless. They don't even make that stuff anymore. So I took all of our old equipment and refurbished it, re-cleaned it, put wheels on it, put new elements in it. And then, so now I could pull it up. Every Sunday, people think our place used to be a little dirtier. Now it's spotless because I pull out the equipment and I pressure wash, degrease, and bleach behind it. I promise you.
Yeah.
This isn't BS. Behind our equipment is as clean as it is in front. It's spotless.
Yeah.
Now, it might look a little old, but it's spotless. And that matters to me. No one knows that because no one gets back there and gets
nobody's going to go behind the cook and let me check out this grease back here.
Right. I'm a nut. You have to be a nut because you have to be insane. You got to be constantly like, I want everything clean. And we're top 6% highest rated restaurants. When I say that, like when you take Yelp, you take, Yelp, we're 4.3, but it shows 4.0, but we're, if we're 4.3, we get to 4.5, then it shows 4, but that's as high as you can get on Yelp.
Yeah.
So then we got Facebook, we're 4.9 rated out of 5. Then you got Google, we're 4.8, and all these other ones, so we're 4.8, 4.9. And that's incredible. But once in a while, we'll get, someone who'll write something nasty. That's just nature of the beast.
Yeah.
And, a little while ago, someone wrote something, and I had a lot of people like attack them online, but they were saying, "Oh, it's dirty," and I don't respond back. Yeah. I have a company that responds back because I'll get too personal.
You get personal about it.
But
it's
the
your
thing
baby.
is, I felt like saying, "No, trust me. It's spotless. Yeah. No. I put a new ceiling. I personally wash the ceiling.
Yeah.
Swear to God, I get up with my hands on a ladder, Dave Arbetter, and I scrub the ceiling once a month. And that's a new ceiling, by the way.
Yeah.
And all of our equipment. So, but you can always be cleaner, no matter how clean you are. I said, let me say that. But it matters, and our place is spotless.
That's great, man. That's great that you take so much care of every little detail in the restaurant business. When you're actually gonna try to get your people, because this is something that's hard to convey that kind of emotion and that kind of tenacity for what you love and giving it to your people so they could treat the customer the same way when you're not there.
Right.
How do you approach that? What's that?
That's an excellent question, Doran. It really is. And here's what you do. You have to outwork your peeps.
Okay.
So I got a guy, John Angelica. I got a guy, Ernie Hernandez. John's been there since 1972. It's 47 years.
All right.
Ernie's been there for 20 years. They're great people, and they are hard workers. Ernie's a super hard worker. John is probably the hardest worker I've ever met in my entire life.
Okay.
But I'll even outwork John in certain respects.
Yeah.
John will outwork me just behind the counter.
Yeah.
No one can keep up with him. But I'll work, like I said, my breadth of work, BREADTH, my breadth of work will be huge because I'll work, I'll be up at 6 a.m. doing stuff for the restaurant all the way till 1 or 2 a.m. These guys know I'm there all day, even if I'm just sitting there watching, doing, these guys know that, and I'll get in there and I'll scrub anything.
Yeah.
And I'll show them. I go, look, I got a master's degree in accounting. I've had 4 or 5 really successful businesses, and I'll get on my hands and knees and be scrubbing the floor.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them that. I'll say, listen, I'm no better than you.
Yeah, I'm not above any of this.
I'm not above any of it. And you see me doing it. And that's what I say. I tell them, I go, therefore, I expect you to do, because look, it's an inglorious thing to serve. It's an incredible thing to be able to serve people, number one. But it's inglorious, of course, to get on your hands and knees and scrub a floor.
Yeah.
That's not glorious, but it is glorious in this regard. You are doing a great job.
Yeah.
And that's incredible. That's invaluable.
I love your place because of that. You get great service, and it's there's certain places in Miami where you get great services, and then there's a lot of places in Miami where you don't get good service.
I know that. And I can't say any of the places that don't do the great service, but I notice.
Yeah, it's so, and I always wonder, everybody's getting talent from the same talent pool.
Yeah.
Everybody's basically if you're in the restaurant industry, people work more or less same places. How come one restaurant could garner that kind of great service out of their employees, and then you go to another restaurant and it's the same employee, but they're just not providing that same great service? It's always it has to be you're saying has to be, I'll follow me. Don't just do it yourself. You know what I'm saying?
My mom is from Italy. She used to have this saying in Italian. The Cubans have a lot of sayings.
Yeah.
I was looking at yours. What is this one called?
Ese huevo quiere sal.
There you go.
Yeah.
In Italian, there's one that my mom used to tell me. She used to say, "Ma che ci fa la gatta quando il padrone la mata?"
Okay.
It's so stupid, but what it is what's the cat to do when the landlord is crazy? I'll explain it. Meaning, if the owner or manager doesn't give a hoot about what's going on, the employees will not care. The owner or the manager or the landlord has to care and has to be engaged. So, if I stop being engaged right now, my place will start. We're at a really high rate of growth.
Yeah.
The rate of growth will immediately, if I stop for a month and I go, I don't give a shit about the place.
Yeah.
We're going to start, I'll look at the numbers. They'll start tanking. Our numbers, we're up, 135% in the past 3 years. But that's awesome. When I came back and I've started putting the grind in. You got to grind, man. Listen, I always say I'm unbeatable because I will outwork any human. It's about work. You got to be smart, yes, all that kind of stuff. But it's about work. I don't care who you are and what you do. If you're going to be great, if you outwork there, Howard Stern pretty much outworked everybody too. They forget that. He was talented,
Yeah, you got to put in the work.
Got to put in the work.
I have this thing in my home office that it says 1-800 put in the work. Like,
can I get that?
Yeah.
Please, I want that. I swear to God.
It's the best thing because, like, to any, like, I say it sarcastically, like, oh, I have a phone number you could call that's always going to help you out. Right. And it's 1-800 put in the work.
That's it.
Because that's where it's at. Like,
that's exactly where it's
when
at.
people are, like, putting so many thoughts and, like, oh, I'm going to do this and I got to do it like this. And then, like, you spend 3 years, like, pre-planning what they're going to do.
Right.
That entire time you could have put in the work. You could have been like,
they could have just started
yes.
at the 3 years ago.
Yes.
Instead of talking about all the things
yes.
they're going to do and just start working. And then things just automatically happen for you if you put the work in. Like the universe, and I believe in that. You know, you put the work in and you think the thoughts that are correctly.
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, I want this to happen. And just like magic, you know, I'll get a call from you or something like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I noticed you were talking to me. You started like rambling off with numbers and 4.6s and this and that. Like, that's something that's new.
Yeah.
You guys have taken on like really cool, like social media and like certain platforms that are rating food and things like that.
Yeah.
How do restaurants, like, how do you combat that? Seeing that you saw it from before it even existed, you know, back in the day when it was actual word of mouth.
Right.
Somebody had to say, go check out Arbetters is on Bird Road. It's one of the good places.
I got a really good friend of mine. He's like, he's like, dude, he goes, I'm great at marketing. I'm like, great. Tell me what you do. Yeah. I go, what's your position on social media? What's your position on, you know, all these different Facebook and Instagram? And he goes, what's Instagram? And I'm like, you know, and you know, actually, the guy is a pretty good marketer.
Yeah,
he really is. But he's just like the old shake hand.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not enough now. You got to be on social media. You got to have a presence. You got to know what you're doing. You got to have help.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you for you know, your help.
No problem, man.
You know, I did. But you know, again, you know, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I had a radio show.
Okay.
My wife and I had a TV show on you know, what is the TV platforms that anyone
public
access.
Yeah,
we had a public, and you know, again, it was work. We got in there and we had a nice, really little TV show. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could try to look it up. I know Burger Beast will probably try to find it.
What was it called?
The Just Patty Show. My wife was a professional comedian.
Okay.
And so, but I learned how to do the camera. I took the courses. Yeah. And I did, and then I had my radio show, and I got a lot of famous people on my radio show, and I did a lot of incredible things out of sheer work ethic, flat out. I mean, I was like an idiot. Yeah. Like I didn't know what I was doing, but it was amazing. All of a sudden I got, you know, the mayor of Houston, I got this guy on, I got that guy, and we had famous people on the show, and we had a funny show. It was a really good show. And it was because of sheer work ethic. So, you know, we had sort of been, because of those things, got us geared to social media before a lot of people. I'll put it to you that way.
So you already were like ahead of the curve.
We're ahead of the curve. So we're like, we're fired up with that already.
As soon as it came around, you're already on top of it. You knew how to like pick it up. Yeah. You were a content creator before there was any platforms to actually post content on. Yeah. You were just doing it on TV and radio.
100%. And we have my social media now, my Instagram, I should mention, is my nephew, Andrew Lister, and he does a great job, you know, with the social media. But, you know, we're pushing together. My son, Austin, little Dave, you know, we all help. My wife is excellent. She's taken courses in editing. She knows how to do editing. She's amazing. Celeste, my son's, girlfriend, who's been with us 10, 11 years. She's excellent. So it is a teamwork though. Yeah. You know, even my sister will help and throw things in. She's not great at like social media, but she's pretty good on Facebook. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, which is social media.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. But so all of us, it is teamwork. Yeah. Let's, no doubt. We Burger Beast has helped us a lot. Yeah. You know, and just because he knows that we're out there working towards getting things as much as possible. But it's about work. You know, just how much time you're going to put into it. If you don't know the social media gig, you learn it.
That's awesome that you guys were able to stay ahead of the curve, like a lot of the older restaurants and places, not even restaurants, just a lot of the older businesses had a really hard time like understanding that, how to tackle that, how to even address that, how to talk to people on social media and all of that. Like, it's a
good point. Like just today, I'll give you an example. We added this Boston dog. It's a Boston dog with baked beans. It's our new soubrette with baked beans and bacon on it. And there was an old customer who happens to be a great guy. I'm not going to mention his name, and a great customer. And I'm not disparaging at all. I appreciate him. But he was like, "Oh, don't add that,"
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, why not? I'm not taking anything away. I'm not taking our old hot dogs and changing them. I would never do that.
Yeah, you can still get the originals.
You get the originals, but I'm going to add some cool stuff. Yeah. And you know what it's done is it's made our business just boom. And the thing is, like, we've had, just the things we've done, we've quadrupled our menu. When I started, everyone's like, whatever you do, don't change anything.
Yeah.
No, a lot of things need to be changed. If you rest on your laurels, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
That I guarantee you.
That's a good gem right there.
Yes, it is. And I wish we could put that in Spanish or Italian, because it would sound better. But it would be something like, if the cow jumped over the moon sideways,
exactly.
it'd be like, that doesn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
But if you rest on your laurels, if I sit around and go, okay, I'm done, I've done enough. No.
Yeah.
You have to constantly be grinding. I mean, Tiger Woods grinds on the golf. He had a bad day today, but he grinds on the golf course. So he's always sort of.
I mean, he's grinded since his childhood to get to where he was at.
Exactly.
Like, he was out there hitting balls. I've read a lot of his story. He was out there hitting balls when he was 12, 13, midnight till past midnight, just trying to,
grind. It's about the grind. And that's the fun of it.
Yeah.
Come on, man. The fun of everything. And even in this for you, I guarantee, if I ask you, what's the best thing? You got to get interviews. You got to find, and it sucks. Yes, I know, because you have to constantly be working. But that's the fun of it, the grind. If you don't put the work in, it's all about work.
It gets you motivated to try to. It's like the thrill of the hunt type of situation. Yeah. That's funny. So I noticed that your restaurant has gone through a face change.
Yeah.
Tremendous face change.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those places that's been there so long that if you don't do something like that, it just like fades into the background. You can't even see it.
Yeah.
Because it's just been there so long.
Right.
So like with the face change, how did you guys decide on how to approach it? Because you made it pretty dope. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thanks.
Shout out to A-Hole who did your.
Definitely shout out to A-Hole.
Yeah.
Shout out to Abel Sanchez,
okay,
who facilitated that collabo, which is an incredible collab. I had a guy at a restaurant the other day walks up to me. He was a waiter and he had a little A-Hole sticker on.
Yeah.
He goes, I've been trying to get the owner of this place to make it cool and everything. And he goes, and he said he would. And then I put up one little A-Hole Sniffs glue sticker, and the guy's like, that goes down. I want it out.
Yeah.
And we love A-Hole. Oh, here's the deal. People are like, oh, how could A-Hole? That's a weird name. And I go, that guy, and Nasty the Biscayne Roach, and Otto von Skirach.
Yeah, Otto Skirach.
All the whole group.
Bermuda Triangle family.
The whole Triangle family. They're great people. They're hard workers.
Yes.
See, like, I met a bunch of times with A-Hole, and he's always on time. His word was his bond. Like, he said, okay, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
We agreed to it, and it was like, his word and my word were bond.
Yeah.
And that is important.
Yeah. I mean, they're grinders, man.
They're grinders again. Dude, no one outworks A-Hole.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the truth. When it comes to man, I was just talking about this to my girl the other day about murals, because he's a muralist.
Right.
And we're like looking, she does restaurants and things like that.
Okay.
And she had a muralist come in, like picked out by the owner. He wanted to set up this and that. I was like, I know she had a really bad experience with him.
Okay.
And she's like,
really?
Is this? Yeah. Not with A-Hole.
Okay,
with another muralist.
With another muralist.
Yeah,
I got you. Okay.
With another muralist.
Okay, yeah.
She had a really bad experience with that muralist. And I was just telling her, I was like, yo, if you would have gotten A-Hole, this would have never happened. You know what I'm saying? Like,
totally.
Like he's about his grind. And it's crazy because it's like artistic, and you normally don't associate people with art putting in grind like that, like 9 to 5, like corporate grind, which is he puts in even more grind. It's the same thing with yourself. Like, you guys put in even more grind. You've already established your name, your repertoire, but you're still grinding out more and more and more, changing up the aesthetic of the entire location. Like,
yeah, you can't be afraid of change. So in our place, I came in and there was literally 1,000 things that I looked. See, I already had it. In this regard, I'm sort of a restaurant savant in that I saw everything, years ago, but I just wasn't here. I had other businesses.
Yeah.
So finally I came back, and I told people already what I was going to do 10 years ago. I just couldn't get down here because I had a pretty good business.
Yeah.
So my business slowed down, sold it, came down, and I started incorporating all the things I want to do. But here's the deal. This is what my analogy was. It's like, you ever see like an old 1960 Impala or something, and it's all beat up, and you want to get it so it's like brand new, old school as hell, cherry, but with some cool, maybe you put a CD or something badass like an MP3 player in there or
something recent.
Right.
New technology.
And that was my analogy. Who doesn't love an old car that is redone? I don't know a human who does. Everybody loves. And that was my idea with Arbetters, is that I want to get it so it's spotless, but I don't want it looking antiseptic. We kept it looking the same. I didn't change. I knew what to change and what not to change. Our counter was decrepit. And that wasn't the original counter. That was a counter put in when we tried to franchise, and the people of, some of the guys from Burger King who's franchised them helped us. And it just was corporate bullshit.
Yeah.
I didn't like that old counter. So when I get now, no one even mentions that old counter. The counter that I loved was the one my dad loved, was there since 67, and we took over in 71 to 78. And it was a sit-up counter where you're part of the action. Now, thank God we had A-Hole, Miguel, who did the wood, and all the other guys who helped on that counter. Nelson, this other guy who did the stainless steel that you don't see behind it. It's all hypoallergenic, super clean. A hurricane wouldn't tear that counter down. And it's like a $25,000 counter.
Yeah.
It really, and A-Hole did such an incredible job. And my wife and Abel for saying, let him just be an artist.
Yeah,
and
let
so
him do his thing.
Instead of me jumping and going, A-Hole, no, stop. I just shut the blank up and I let him do his artwork. And he was smart enough to leave the left part of the counter, which is like 4 feet.
Yeah.
And that was what the woodwork that Miguel, this expert, he did. And he was like, that's such beautiful woodwork. It was Norwegian pine from Denmark. Okay.
Yeah.
Knotless pine. No knots in it.
Yeah.
And he did that, and then A-Hole did his stuff. And to me, it's the coolest counter in the state. And I'm humbly, I say that.
That's dope, man. And the outside, the murals, the new colors.
The murals, I had this guy, Wilbur. He's the only guy probably left in the city.
Yeah.
Maybe a few guys who could, he didn't, okay, that giant mural on the back, that's hand painted without lines. He didn't stencil it. Do you know how hard that is?
Yeah.
Wilbur is, and his brother Dave, excellent, unbelievable. And he does all my graphic work. We've put up 100 pictures. I personally framed every picture. We put up 60 different wraps in there. The bathrooms we redid. We put a new roof, a new ceiling, 2 new air conditioners. I put probably $70,000 worth of equipment in there. I put a new ice machine for $9,000 with the best ice in the world. Hojizaki.
Yeah.
Listen, I get passionate about this. If you're not
details.
Yeah, details. But I could sit, people go, sometimes people do work on those other people's ideas. It was my ideas.
Yeah.
And, but that's important because, I could sit there and tell somebody in 2 seconds, because I talk fast, 1,000 different things that I did. I could show them, hey, I cleaned this. Every little screw that I put in matters to me. So I'll go, hey, I put that screw in, but it's about, this is what I tell people a million times. Like I was going to this today. And I was like, I was watching golf. I love golf. Yeah. And I was like, I got to go. I wanted to come. Yeah. But you know how when you're just in the air conditioner, you're chilling.
You're relaxing,
and
chilling.
Then, my sister was on the phone and she was like, oh, you get what she said. You got to be careful what you wish for. But I go, no, not really. Because I'm doing this for the business. Out of love for the business.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
That's dope. Let me ask you, how did that whole when you go in there and there's a bunch of if you say Larry King,
Larry Bird, yeah.
Where did that all come from? The whole Boston stuff.
My dad, man, my dad couldn't cook worth a bean, but he was, I would say, brilliant. My dad was brilliant at dealing with people.
Okay.
To this day, my dad didn't do all the stuff I did with, all the raps and the pictures. I mean, maybe at some level, it did exist back then, but in a different form. But he didn't care about it. Yeah. What he cared about is putting on a show for people. And he and my mom built up an incredible base of a business that I'm now. It's just like Steve Jobs talked about when with the software platform. They're starting. They have the software now, and then when they moved up to Java, where it was like you start from the top, where all the work that everyone did, you don't have to start from the bottom. And I started from a mid-level to build this business. Yeah. And the thing is, they were genius at just being nice to people and being good to people and putting on a little show. And so few people do that it resonated with people. And to this day, I get thousands of people who are like, loved your dad, great guy, loved your brother, loved your mom, loved your sister, and pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like you go in there and it's just like when Boston wins, you get free. And it's like you're just reading this. And you're like, what is this?
Yeah. Well, look, I have to show you something. This right here. This is a guy, Dan Delmonico, who went to Columbus, and I was like, Dan. He hooked me up with Larry Bird. So this is, my wife just finished this. This is going up on our wall. There's me and Larry Bird. There's Dan Delmonico. He's a legend. Dan's father, who's a legend. He's such a legend. Larry gave Dan's father one of his 3 championship rings. That's how much Yes. This is this guy, Dan Delmonico. And so he invited me on. Dan has this beautiful, one of the nicest yachts I've ever seen. And we went for 10 hours. We're on this yacht with Larry Bird. Coolest thing ever. We picked Larry Bird and Dan up on this yacht.
It was here in Miami?
American Airlines Arena. We picked them up from the yacht. I reached over, Larry, come on in on the yacht. So Bird comes in, and you could tell he's very standoffish at first. He doesn't give a shit. He just wants his own privacy. He's like everybody else. He's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
And so, you could tell it's like he didn't want to talk to anybody. Finally, he had a few drinks after, 4 or 5 hours, and he felt comfortable. Then it was a blast because he started giving me shit like a friend would, you know. By the end of it, we're all giving each other shit, and that's what I like, because someone's really not a real good friend of mine until they're giving me shit.
Yeah. That's kind of like Burger Beast.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure.
I love the Beast.
Yeah, I love the Beast too, man. Cool ass peoples. Man, that's crazy. That's a dope ass experience that you were able to get that from the restaurant. The restaurant was able to propel you to a situation where you're meeting Larry Bird and you're picking him up at the American Airlines Arena on a yacht and stuff like that.
It's easy for me. All I have to do is be great to the restaurant, and I'm going to have a great life. I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I truly believe. I just have to pay my homage to that restaurant. Get in there and clean it and or make sure that it gets cleaned and worked on, and people are nice, and my employees are happy. We love our employees. That's another thing that people don't talk about. We love our employees like family. And it's not perfect.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah.
You could tell when you go in the restaurant and you see that everybody's behind the counters like family, like they're all hanging out talking with each other, and then they treating you like you're part of the crew as well.
That's a great thing.
That is a great thing. That's not something that you get at many restaurants.
Yeah, sometimes people will say, hey, I see them on their phones once in a while, and get in there and scream at them. Listen, if it's a problem, believe me, I'm not afraid to sit there and talk with them. But on the other hand, we try to treat them as well as we can. We don't say you can't eat. We don't. I'm not sitting there going,
You've had your third dog.
Yeah, exactly. We just let it happen. 9 times out of 10, after a while they'll be like, I'm sick of the food anyway. Yeah. But they do love our food.
No, how much would you contribute Columbus and the community of Columbus as part of the success of Our Betters?
I got 3 words: Dr. Carter Burris. Okay. I mean, number one, Dr. Burris is a Columbus legend, but he is our conduit to Columbus, and we truly love Columbus. I mean, we really do. We love Southwest. We love all these high schools. Yeah. But Columbus is, in the long run, it's turned out to be our gold. I mean, they're just, first of all, they're great people. Some of the best people I ever met from Columbus. And then we have Dr. Burris, who is a legend there. He's still there counseling. And, through him, we build a relationship with people. And we've had a lot of friends over the years, my brother's friends, my friends, who went to Columbus. We got the Pagleys, the Whittingtons, Wardells, all these different people over the years were very good friends of ours who went to Columbus. They're like family. So, we have a serious relationship with Columbus.
Yeah, I go into your restaurant and I can tell that you have lifelong customers. Like when you go in there and the customer's telling you how you should have your food or what you should order and stuff like
exactly.
that. It's like, damn, you've been here for a long time, fam.
Yeah, and our customers are not afraid to tell us. I mean, before I put the counter up, one of my best customers, again, I'm not naming names. This guy is one of the best guys I ever met. He was a police officer, incredible guy. And he's not afraid to tell you what's on his mind. And he was like, hey, listen, man, don't mess with that counter because, and this was 3 years ago. And I'm like, I look right at him. I go, listen, I love you, man, but I'm doing what I want. And I know what I'm doing. That's it. I tell people, I go, listen, trust me. I know what I'm doing. 99% of the people don't know what they're doing, but I do know what I'm doing. And I'll tell you, this is going to work. And sure enough, it did work with help. With help. But he, because he didn't see what I saw. But my point is, that people are not afraid to be vociferous. They're not afraid to tell me what is on their mind. They're not afraid to say, hey, you're an idiot. And I go, well,
because they love the place so much.
That's why.
That's where it's coming from.
Exactly.
It's coming from a place out of love. Like, I love this place so much. Don't change it in any way, shape, or form, you know? And you gotta love that.
Got it. I love that so much, and I respect it. But here's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
As much as you love that place, I know how much you love it, but I love it even more, and I would never do anything to hurt the place.
Correct.
I'm only going to help it. If I did, look, I'll give you an example. A few months ago, I added Red Bull.
Okay.
I put it in there, and almost immediately, I put a fridge in, Red Bull, it's cool.
Yeah.
Almost immediately, like, this sucks. Yeah. No, listen, I love Red Bull. There's nothing against it, but it didn't work with us.
Yeah.
So after and my friend, I had this other friend, Ted, who was giving me, he was like, you're an idiot. You add everything. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't add. But he'll tell me, he goes, you add everything immediately. On the other hand, he says, you're too slow with that. So what is it? You know? But anyways, I go, listen, you're right. When someone's right, I tell them, you're right, I'm dumping the Red Bull. And sure enough, I dumped the Red Bull. And that's what I'll do. See, this is an important thing. If you own anything, don't be afraid to make a move. You could always just take it out. Yeah. If it doesn't work. But if you got to look at the numbers. If like our business keeps getting busier. If it keeps getting busier, you're doing the right thing. That's what it's about.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
That's what's up.
You guys, I noticed you took the tree out in the back and you put gravel and all of that. That gave it a different look.
We had more parking. It gave different. Listen, I don't want to. I love. I've had customers give me shit about this too, and a lot of people loved it. 99%, but rightfully so. When you take a tree out, you better know what you're doing. You better. So listen, the tree. We had 2 giant Australian pines that are not. What native. Is the word? They're not native. So that's one thing. But I wouldn't even taken those out except they were rotting literally from the inside. I don't know what killed them. So maybe we were afraid of hurricanes. That's it. We were afraid of hurricane. We have neighbors and we were afraid a hurricane was gonna that tree would kill somebody. It was so heavy. So it was like $10,000 to get those trees out and $9,000 and level that parking lot so no one slid on the parking. But as it turns out, we're able to park. Yeah,
now you got like a big space there. Like I was talking to Martha Miami yesterday. I went to her. Yeah, she did she has a karaoke at Lincoln Beers Brewery.
They're nice people too. Yeah.
Like once a month on Wednesdays. Well, I was there talking to her and I was like telling her, I was like, man, I'm talking to Dave tomorrow from Arbiters. And she's like, oh, he's great people. I was like, you know what? I want to pitch him like a Westchester block party thing.
Dude,
like,
I'm in. Yeah. I'm in. I've done one already.
Yes.
We did a block party with the guy who owns the right back where Lincoln's Beard is.
Yeah.
There's a like a workout, what's it called? The the CrossFit.
Okay.
And very nice guy. And we had a block party.
Yeah.
And I participated. So did Frankie's. Yeah. I got pictures from it.
Yeah. That place is, because on Sundays the bank is closed. You know, so it's like you have like all that space there, and it's right in the heart of Westchester.
Oh,
you know
dude. I'm up for whatever team Collabo is. And sometimes we're so busy it's hard, but. The Lincoln's Beard people are super nice. Martha, super nice, good people. So
Yeah, man. So if anybody want to reach out to you, like for any particular reason, do some catering, do some parties, whatever, where can they reach out? What's the easiest way?
Look, no one does this, but 360-518-7263. Call me direct.
Okay.
I don't play. I'll look people in the eye, and I'm that kind of person. Call me, and it's about work, man. I'm all about work. From the richest guy in the world to someone who doesn't have a penny who might have the world's greatest idea.
Yeah.
So
which is worth more.
It's worth more.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that, man. I'm about literally, obviously you listen to me talk, but I talk like this, exactly when I'm talking to everybody.
Yeah. No, I could vouch for that.
Listen, when in doubt, work. I wish it was like when in doubt, go to a strip club or something. But it's like, unfortunately, my saying is when in doubt, work. So,
that's good though. It's worked out for you. I congratulate you.
Thanks, man.
On having such a wonderful, successful restaurant and so many great experiences coming out of that. So many great experiences for other people.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Letting us know about you got a great podcast, and let's get something on your podcast up at Arbiters.
Yeah, for sure, man. That would be dope. That would be super
100%, man. Let's get something. Do
a live podcast or something.
Yeah, we'll do a live podcast also, but let's put something up.
All right, for sure, man.
All right?
For sure, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, until the next time, thank you guys for listening. You know what it is the Que Vola podcast. If you like it, share it with your friends. If you hate it, share it with your enemies, but just share this motherfucker, all right? I love y'all. Peace. So, you heard it there. Shout out David. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast and just dropping mad knowledge and gems for all us youngsters out here trying to figure it out in business. If you want to get in contact with him, you already got that number, or you could also shoot him a DM through his IG, which is Arbetter Hot Dogs, ARBETTER Hot Dogs, Arbetter Hot Dogs, or you could just reach him at his IG, which is David Arbetter. Thank you so much once again, David, for coming on. Thank you all the creators, everybody who's been listening and loving. I hear y'all and I've been feeling y'all love. Thank you so much. It means a lot. Until la próxima, ya tú sabes quién es. It's your boy D-Fig. Cógelo con take it easy. Show peace and love. Peace.